You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network. Now the largest new media platform on the web and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's The Following After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's The Following After Show.
The ceiling is moving.
You got it? There we go.
Yeah, it's real-time tweets.
Sure, why not? Sure. Hey, everybody, Bing is for doing, and we are doing the following. How you guys doing? I am not Joe Sanfilippo, so my voice is a little bit higher, and I'm not going to be referencing the word rad too much, and lots of other things. I'm Nando Velasquez. Welcome, everybody. And sitting alongside me today, first of all, we have right here to my direct left, the lovely network publicist, noted network publicist, as Sanfilippo likes to say. Teresa, how you doing?
Hi, everyone. I'm good, Nando.
Great, awesome. And then right next to her, from places like Grantland and Extra and all sorts of really quality entertainment type stuff, we have Mr. Joe Braswell.
That's me. I'm Joe Braswell.
Yes, and as I said, Joe Sanfilippo is out. I think he's currently in the middle of a drinking game. He's drinking himself right now.
He's at rad places right now.
He's at rad places right now. He's got more radder places to be than here. But
he's in Canada, so the Canadians can.
He's rad, eh?
Watch out, yeah.
So, but he'll be back next week. So, and
yes,
we miss him already. If he's listening,
we do.
We do miss him.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. I can't get my voice that low, and I have no Connery, so don't even give me a Connery.
Good.
Don't even pimp me out on Connery. And of course, we have the lovely Marissa, who is producing.
What's up, guys?
Hey, so we do have 4 people here. Yes, and well, today we are doing the following, and it's episode 11. We're up to 11, man. It's getting near the end. And this one is called Whips and Regrets, which is somebody's Saturday night, right?
Yeah.
Just somebody's Saturday night.
Not really.
No comment, but somebody's Saturday night. So first of all, let's get some impressions, man, because I personally like this show, but let me hear you guys' thoughts on it.
I love this. I love this episode. This is one of my favorites actually. I really enjoyed it. I thought the set pieces were really great. It's just sort of a scary, very scary, suspenseful episode. The following, I really loved the whole armory and down there and the tunnels and the flashlights, and then you got the weird crazed followers, kind of running around, beating people up and eating. I don't know what they did to that poor guard.
Yeah,
what they just attacked him like a pack of dogs.
Yeah,
it was so
savages.
Yeah, it was so primal.
I noticed how when they were in the cage they could speak perfect English, and then once they were
but and something, it felt like Aliens. I don't know if you remember, you and I remember because we're old. I keep saying that.
First 80s reference of the night.
But but it was I love that set piece, and I actually really like the whips and chains. What's it called? The whips and what's
Regrets.
Whips and Regrets. The S&M
Fetish
club.
bar.
I love that. I love the idea of them walking through, and it's kind of creepy, and noises are coming out of everywhere, and that was kind of a cool little set piece.
I will say a lot of FBI WTFs there.
Sure.
Yeah, Joe would have had a field day.
Joe would have loved that.
There was a lot of Hardy and Deborah Hardy and Parker going on missions by themselves, and they had all the marshals were out there, the FBI's out there yet, Hardy and Parker go check it out by themselves.
Oh yeah,
alone. Same thing with the armory. They're out there. They're alone for God knows 15 minutes.
But at least they're starting to make excuses as to why the SWAT team's behind. Like when they know we're following them, so hang back
a few miles.
Yes,
good point.
So they're starting to make some excuses at least to make up for it. But it is too often where it's just 2 or 3 people taking the lead, doing recon, and then getting in the middle of the whole thing. So.
Well, like you always say, it'd be a crappy show if they just stormed the, they all came in and
be
found the killer immediately.
It'd be a 1-episode season. That'd be it.
We have to have a reason for a Hardy to sneak around with the old flashlight, which I love.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Teresa? What do you think about this episode?
I thought James Purefoy was amazing in this episode. Just all of his scenes, he was just on point. You see him being like a maniac with Roderick. He really just owns Roderick and shows him who's the boss. And then you see him really vulnerable with Claire at dinner. You know, you kind of see a softer side of him. And then finally, at the end of the episode, when he brings Joey to Claire, you get this look on his face of just, you know, pure, like, not defeat, but you could just see that he really loves her. And, you know, he says, I believe you will love me again. And I thought that that was just a really powerful scene.
Yeah, you could tell for him, at least, this episode was very, very, very layered.
Right.
A lot of different episodes. He got to show a gambit of emotions, and yeah, it's a great role for an actor.
Yeah, he was excellent.
Yeah, it's a great, awesome role for an actor. Yeah, I personally felt, with the exception of the episode with Amanda Porter, the whole one where they were killing the other Claire Matthews,
right.
I really, honestly, was starting to think that the last couple of episodes, I just wasn't getting comfortable with this whole change. And I think now that Claire has been captured, I think part of the reason why was because the end game got muddled because Joe was so intent on having Claire with him. Now that Claire's with him, they can get back to business again. I felt like this was the first episode that showed that a little bit. Now the FBI's hunting them down again. Ryan Hardy's got a new mission, so to speak. Now he's got new drive to get back. Although it took him a little while. You saw in the beginning of the episode kind of a return to form. Yeah. But I really did like this episode, and it was just really, really interesting to see also the partnering of Deborah and Ryan, but I'll get more into that later.
Right.
And then, of course, get to see a little bit more about Roderick and see how unstable he is.
Episode.
Yeah.
I'll get to that a little later too. But I was very happy to see that because until tonight I wasn't really buying Roderick at all. I didn't really get him as anything other than a, you know, sort of a blonde, pretty boy. I know that you think he's hot, but I was not buying him as this sort of psychopathic, you know, leader, military guy. I just wasn't buying it until tonight, and I was like, oh, there's something back there. So I like that.
Yeah.
Performance. And shout out to my man Nico. I think Jacob was great tonight. I'm sorry, not Jacob.
Yeah,
Jacob. Jacob was great tonight. I mean, speaking of acting performance, I think Nico has really done this great. Sort of shift. We talked about the butterfly, the creepy butterfly, but you know, we see him from the Tag Romney to, you know, the James Dean to the scary kid to this, and now he's, I don't know what he is now, but I think Tag was back, but it's like the scary Tag.
Yeah,
I mean, he had the sensible, you know, button down polo shirt on.
he was at Ralph Lauren.
The Ralph Lauren. The hair was back. The part was back. So I'm like, oh, there's Tag, but it's dark. He's really dark.
He's dark, and I love the just the 180 between him and Emma.
Yeah.
Because notice that he seems to have all the control and all the power now, and she's kind of the little like, oh, is everything, you know, how are you? She's all
I'm still not convinced that he is this new guy, though. I still feel like he's very much the sensitive guy that he was. Right now, he's driven by his grief over losing Paul and the betrayal. You know, that Emma betrayed him. But how long is that going to last?
Yeah,
I don't think that's really him. It's not convinced me yet.
Well, he still lives up to Joe, and it seems like Joe's given him a lot of responsibility. So I think that's also part of his motivation right now. He doesn't want to let Joe down.
But the eyes, you know, when he walked into that room and he's glaring at Emma, he says, you know, the Jacob you know is dead or whatever that is, and he's gone. Like, I believed him. I'm like, whoa, this guy. First time he's scaring me. Like, he's really scaring me. So great performance. I'm buying it.
Nico is doing
He's doing the damn
job.
thing.
He wasn't afraid to push Claire.
No, not at all.
What did he say? He's like, I'm allowed to bruise you.
Yeah, I can't cut or bruise your face, but otherwise I'm allowed to physically hurt you.
Now again, I believed him. Like the old Jacob, if he said that, I'm like, yeah, he ain't hurting nobody.
Well, yeah, but just think of him in the basement with
poor
Megan.
Little, Megan, yeah. You know, he was like, I don't want to hurt you, please. But now when he said that to her, I'm like, oh yeah, he'll do it. He's this new guy. I don't know what this guy's in. This new guy's scary.
Yeah. So it's crazy, but awesome. Yeah.
Well, there's one more. That one scene in that scene with Emma and Jacob, where Emma says that line, which I had to laugh out loud. It was something to the effect of, you know, you're acting weird. You're acting weird now. I'm like, really? This house full of cult serial killers and
oh yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah,
actually.
And also you of all people, the person who is, you know, sleeping with the gay and the straight person and having a threesome and manipulating and doing all these different things, and he's acting weird and like pot meat kettle, but. That was fun.
Absolutely.
It's good to know that these serial killers and these cult followers have like feelings and a family, and they have, they're in love with it. It's just a weird feeling of like within their own world. There's like this whole soap opera going on within their own world. You would think they're just a bunch of faceless killing robots, but
well, it's amazing how you can have some empathy for these characters, because there really is some empathy in regards to Jacob because of what he went through. He got left behind, and what he had to do to Paul, and there's some empathy with Emma too, especially right now because she is finding her way. She's finding her spot in the house. And
for me, for this episode, there was some empathy for Joe when he reached out to Claire.
Yeah,
at the very
even
end.
Joe, but that's true too. Even Joe a little bit. Even though you haven't.
At the end when he.
Yeah, I think this episode really humanizes him, and at the end when he brings Joey back to Claire, you see this look in his face, and it's like, he's just someone that wants to be with his wife again.
Right. Poor Joe.
Joe.
I know. When he's not killing people. No, you're right. I'm having a hard time. This whole what do you say? He has a monomaniacal need to kill.
Yes,
it's this weird sort of self-diagnosis. He says, this monomaniacal need to kill, and it's only going to grow. So I'm just trying to help people out.
I love how he can just diagnose himself.
Right.
It's just totally like save. If you don't have medical, just diagnose yourself. It's all good. So
I am having a little trouble with this notion of someone being this, completely psychopathic, sociopathic person with a monomaniacal need to kill, but yet still have a soft spot in his heart for good old Claire. Like, he just seems to be so, like, Claire and Joey are the love of my life, the heart. If we can just all be in love together, but I gotta go back and I'll be right back. I need to kill these women, because it's all about women. He's been killing these women, and the fact that he can have all these women and kill his women, but be in love with Claire, I don't know if that's like should make her feel really special, or if that's just that's hard for me to wrap my head around.
Yeah, I can
as much as I can wrap my head around a serial killer.
I can understand that too. I can understand that feeling that how can you hold one woman that high up when you're busy killing all these other ones, for especially for the sake of beauty, as it was deigned earlier in the season, with Edgar Allan Poe thinking that the death of a beautiful woman was art.
Right.
So how could you not kill your wife, who I would imagine you think is a very beautiful woman?
Those things
She's
seem
the
to be
exception to the rule.
The exception to the rule. I guess there's always an exception.
There seems to be a conflict there, but I don't know. Yeah,
I'm willing, because I'm not a serial killer. I'm willing to kind of just assume that there is some truth there.
The old suspension of
disbelief. Yes, suspension of disbelief.
Sure.
But anyway, let's get some of your takeaways, because I know that's some of what you wanted to talk about, right, Teresa?
Right. Just the relationship between Claire and Joe.
Yeah.
The dinner table, I thought that was a great scene. As much as control that he's in the situation, he's so vulnerable with her. And, you see him leaning in for the kiss, and she goes, don't. And he stops for a second. I think it's kind of funny how he just, misses all the marks. He goes in for the kiss at the wrong moment, clearly. It's
stupid
the wrong
serial
timing.
killer. No, he's like, stupid. Oh, damn. I just can't close it. Man. Come on.
And I love how he's like, you will eventually love me. I can condition you to. It's almost like he's saying, hey, I'm just going to stick around until Stockholm Syndrome kicks in,
Right. Yeah, that's a very weird thing to say. I mean, that's that's a line and a half.
Well, and that's the second time the word condition was used in the episode.
Sure. Which that made me think about that too. But that really struck me as weird, that love, you can be conditioned to love someone, or you can be conditioned to love. It's not exactly what a lady wants to hear.
Well, I would think that's not what a guy wants to hear. I don't want to condition someone to love me. It's like, well, come on, Teresa, I know you don't love me, but I will condition you to love me, and I will be very happy.
That would just turn me off even more.
And I'll be really happy if I condition you that way.
Right.
It's like,
I win, you win, let's go.
Yeah, it's a win-win. We're
Let's
both
start conditioning.
happy.
Not in the real world. But.
That just shows how clumsy he is with her, and it's nice to see that side of him, because he's so polished everywhere else.
Yeah, he's such a great serial killer, but damn it, he's just not that great with ladies.
No.
When it comes down to sealing the deal, he just can't. He can't do that.
He's a uber charismatic cult leader who's able to amass hundreds of followers from behind bars. Yet when he's in a room with Claire, he's
Now, was it just me, or did this whole plot line with Claire and Joe today just remind me of scenes from Beauty and the Beast or something? Locked up.
There was a bit of the have dinner with me, whatever the Beauty and the Beast.
I got a little bit of Hannibal Lecter. When he was having dinner.
Oh, okay, that's true too.
I have to agree that I did not think of that, and I've seen Beauty and the Beast probably at least literally about 80 times, and
Joe Braswell's got a soft spot.
I've got kids. It's the kids, yeah. But like, no, yeah, it's they're awesome.
Good call, Marissa.
I love that movie. I do love the movie. But yeah, the whole bit with the having dinner with me, a forced dinner, and almost Tag Romney acting as Lemieux.
Yes, Lemieux.
Like, let me get you ready. You have to go.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
This is a very good analogy.
Does that mean she's gonna eventually fall for the beast?
I mean, maybe.
Maybe we should say that for predictions, but I wouldn't be opposed to that happening.
That would be a season finale.
Maybe
there.
she falls in love with him. He'll turn into like a sweet, normal guy and stop killing.
He'll stop killing.
Maybe
He'll turn into Tag Romney. He'll turn into old Jacob.
Yeah, old Jacob. Well, I gotta give you complete props. That is a fantastic analogy.
I got some skills.
That was great.
Thank you.
I love that.
Okay.
Beauty and the Beast. Okay, sorry. Anyway.
You're just blushing.
I'm blushing because I haven't been to see Beauty and the Beast, but that's okay.
Well, I just want to more about this Claire, the Claire Joe dynamic. I mean, do you what's your take on Claire in terms of her, her interactions with this? She seemed to still be in control a little bit from the standpoint of like, okay, I got a job to do. I want to see my son. Let me go see this dude. Let me
I love how she tries to put the moves on him. And he goes, oh, that's not going to work. But it actually did work because she ended up seeing Joey at the end of the episode.
Oh, it always works.
It works.
Yeah. Don't let any guys tell you differently.
No, I love that she's able to, just lay down the law.
Yeah.
And he listens to her.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, because who really had the power in that scene? At the end of the day,
she did. She got what she wanted.
She held her firm. She held firm to what she wanted. And she got it.
Go Claire.
Well, I just saw a handhold. I don't know what you're talking about.
That was just the wine glass. That's what it was. It was the wine glass. So here's my question, though. Okay. Well, first of all, I guess we're discussing if it's possible that she could fall in love with Joe again. Mm-hmm. But could that also make her fall out of love with Ryan? Because that's a two-sided equation. I mean, it's possible. It's a love triangle. It's possible to love both people. But really, we're talking now she's with Joe and she's not with Ryan. Could she change that dramatically? I
mean, it's very interesting because we know that we've been picked up for look at how I said that. No, we've been picked up for season 2.
We're doing a great job, guys.
Me, Kevin, Nando, Joe, Teresa. We've all been picked up for season 2. No, but we know they've been picked up for season 2, and so there's another. This is, they could easily complete this story. I feel like in this season, but they're clearly setting up for something, a phase 2, and it makes me wonder about how the arc between where Claire. I really worried specifically about Claire Matthews' arc because it feels like she has very few places to go, unless of course she actually does fall in love with Joe or does hate Ryan or does go back and forth. I don't know. I don't know where they're gonna go, but we have 4 episodes left in this season, and then I think about season 2. I have to jump ahead. Where does that go? Where does that triangle go? What happens to Claire and Joe, or Claire and Ryan? I mean, Joe's clearly not gonna stop wanting to be with Claire, so I don't know.
And just the way things were left off between Claire and Ryan, Claire, admits that she loves him. He says the same thing back, and then she goes and runs off with Joe's people, with Roderick.
Sure.
So where does that leave Ryan?
Right.
And we see him in the beginning of this episode, and he's a mess again.
Yeah.
And really needs a push in order to get back into the game.
Yeah,
push.
absolutely.
I'm sure you'll get into that. That's
I'll
a lot.
get into that.
I've got a lot to say about that too when you get there.
We will get to that. But first, before we go on, I don't know why I did that. Let me.
That's your announcing voice.
Yeah, sorry, Joe Sanfilippo's not here, so you got the B team hosting right now. It's all good. But anyway, if you're listening to us on iTunes, we'd love it if you subscribe and you rate and you comment. So please do all 3. We'd love to see 5s. 5s are great, as Sanfilippo likes to say as well.
We love 5s.
But I love 5s too. And if there was possible to do 6s, we'd love that too.
Right.
Please comment, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. We got a lot of people out there that love to talk to us, so we'll do some shout outs later. But yeah, thanks. And then of course there's lots of other shows here on AfterBuzz that you can listen to and comment on as well, like Bates Motel, for example, or
Bates Motel,
The
Wednesdays.
Americans, or
The Americans Wednesdays.
Yeah, or Walking Dead's over.
Walking Dead was a show that you loved, but it's over.
Yeah, but you can comment on those too. You can retroactively comment. Anyway, let's move on. So let's get some of your takeaways, Mr. Braswell.
Yeah, you know, I talked about at the top how I love the set pieces in this. I really love the tone. The tone of this episode was really, really great. It was really creepy. I don't know I didn't see who directed it, but it was definitely very suspenseful. It felt in that sort of, you know, not even in the scary movie category, not in the horror category. It was more in the deep suspense. You know, the lurking and the flashlights and the shadows. I was really creeped out. And I actually, you know, Joe Sanfilippo's not here. You sat in his seat, so maybe that wasn't it. But I jumped. I jumped twice.
You did.
I think the spirit of Joe Sanfilippo's scary, scared guy possessed me. But yeah, I really liked this episode. But what jumped out at me specifically was, I touched on this too, is Roderick. We finally get to see Roderick lose it, and there was a bit. Not only did we see him lose it from a, you know, anger standpoint, but we really got a sense into some sort of like, you know, he had almost like a little break there, like a psychotic break where he was pushed by Vince.
Yeah.
And that turned into him like really like, you know, getting in Vince's face, and that turned into like a John Woo double gun standoff, you know, which was,
you gotta love that.
You know, who doesn't love that? And then but towards the end there, when Vince made that comment about like, well, did your dad, or, you know, were you beaten as a kid or whatever it was, he walked away, and I swear Roderick was crying. He had like a sad look, like he's almost starting to cry. He went from like extreme calm to extreme like freaked out anger when they kick his ass, then pulled a gun, and then he laughed maniacally, like, oh, what a blast, this is great. Laughed maniacally, and then he went down to like almost crying. Oh, there he is right there. This is it. Yeah. So he goes in that mode where he's like kind of crying. Then he gathers himself, and then he goes over and he punches this other guy in the face.
I love that.
That was an awesome sequence.
Yeah, I agree. I did love all of a sudden he just punches that guy. Oh, are you okay? Are you okay?
Hey, you okay, buddy? Just checking on you.
Yeah.
I know you got a bloody nose. And the guy's like, I just got it. No, you're fine. So that's the guy I want to see. Like, that's the guy who I think is this paramilitary leader. That's the guy who maybe has done some time with Blackwater or whatever, you know, the military for hire group is. And that's the guy who, because at the end of the day, it's not just these guys who have this plan, but you've got to have a little bit of crazy in you, right?
Yeah.
All these guys have there's always a little bit of crazy in all of these people. And it's the first time I really got to see Roderick, who seemed to be pretty together.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and also, you know, we saw Roderick's confrontation with Joe twice. You know, we see the schism developing. You know, Joe yelled at Roderick, and he pushed him. He keeps pushing and testing like the waters here, pushing the boundaries with Joe, and finally Joe let him have it, let him know who's boss. But we'll see how that plays out. I don't know.
Well, my question is, do you think Roderick is unstable? Because I mean, again, this is a house full of crazies anyway. I suppose they're all cult leaders, cult followers, and you know, killers. But would you say he's getting unhinged?
I think he started unhinged. I think this is what we're seeing tonight is Roderick is unhinged. Roderick is a crazy ass mother. He's crazy. Like, he's already unhinged, which now makes sense. Like, oh, that's why he's here. But what it is clear to me is, as I thought he was a follower, and he is sort of a follower to a certain extent.
Yeah.
He really is a leader, and he wants to be a leader. And this is the problem, which is where the schism or whatever is coming in. It's like, you know, Joe's a leader. He's almost begrudgingly going along with Joe because, I mean, he did respect him. But at a certain point, it feels like he's starting to lose respect for Joe and wanting to be more of the leader. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was going to be the number two, and I think that's we're starting to see a break. And I think that whenever Roderick does lose it and turn, it'll be in the form of a psychotic break like we just saw.
Yeah.
Something where he's laughing and he's pulling guns and he's crying. You know, it'll be something like that.
I have a question. So if push comes to shove, do you think the followers will go with Roderick or would they go with Joe?
Well, that's a prediction. But I think there's a split, right? I think there's, not to go back into the Lost categories, but you know, it reminds me very much of Lost. But you know, there's probably the Roderick camp and there's the Joe camp, right? Mm-hmm. So, and it feels like the Joe camp is more along the lines of what we saw earlier with the fresh-faced college kids and the people like my girl Marin, you know, who just really want to please and really want to do, you know, with the spear gun, and who really want to please and do something good, and who really want to help Joe, and who've just been in his class. And those aren't Roderick's people, you know, those are Joe's people. And then they have Joe's people like Louise and like, you know, these militia dudes. And so I think that there's a definite, we'll find out who's with who.
Right.
I really think that's coming though. There'll be a, you know, these followers versus these followers, and then be even more trouble for Rand Hardy because he's got to, shut down Roderick and his guys. But meanwhile, he's got Joe Carroll and his guys, and that's kind of what I think is going to happen. But I don't know. To answer your long-winded answer to your question, there's a split. I don't think that Roderick can take over the whole crew unless Joe died.
Well, it seems really interesting, too, because this episode did seem to see a lot more of what possibly makes Roderick's group tick.
Right.
By seeing that
S&M.
special camp. Well, whips and regret.
Right.
Although that wasn't really part of his plan. It just happens to be where Vince likes to hang out and get flogged and be submissive.
Yes.
And other possible co-hosts like to spend their Saturday nights. Date.
We like to flog each other. I was like,
that was like 50 Shades of Grey.
It was.
Yeah, I guess it was.
But she really got me on the on Fox at 9 o'clock. She's like, we like to flog each other. I was like, whoa, okay, got it. Like, what happened? But yeah, and that just segueing into that, like Vince, that was really I like that whole Vince and getting to know Vince and Haley was interesting too. I mean, Haley kind of rolled over on Vince pretty quickly though. She went once they got in there. She's trying to delete the server information, but then she's like, "Oh yeah, Vince. All right, I got a deal."
I thought the same thing, but then because she had 14 felonies, and that place was a bit illegal, I guess, for what they were doing. I felt she was just dumping her other stuff. She didn't, because when she heard it was Vince, it was like, oh yeah. When she heard it was Joe Carroll, it was like, oh,
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Vince is. I like how we're getting I like getting the backstories to why these people are followers. I think it's very important. Williamson and the writing staff are doing a great job of sort of presenting us with these characters, and then some part of me is like, well, why? And so you hear a little bit about Vince and his, sort of what he's into and what he's been into, and his whole thing. It makes sense that this guy is this complete disenfranchised militia guy who is into the weird, kinkier stuff from the European stuff. Is that what she said?
Yeah, I think it was the European.
It's very poor Europeans get such a bad rap.
Europeans are kinky, man. Did you watch Hostel? Come on.
My man, M.A. Maine, our follower.
Oh yeah, he's European.
He's European.
Maybe he can answer if all Europeans are kinky or not.
Chime in, please.
Yes, but I don't know. So that was interesting to see, but he got away, and then we've got a big problem here in the fact that he led him to the den of whatever, the training den as we saw, and then let Haley go, but then got away. But when he comes back, if he comes back as a failure, that's gonna be a huge problem for Roderick because Roderick already told Joe, like, oh no, Vince is cool. I gave him the order, he's fine. But when he comes back and says, actually it's all effed up, like, what's gonna happen to Roderick?
What's interesting about this whole topic of failure, because we did see that whole ending, how Joe took failure, as an insult and totally got on Roderick. But several episodes ago, Charlie was determined to be considered a failure, and even though Joe was willing to punish him and take the ultimate gift from him, it seemed to be, which I know still freaks out some people.
Yeah,
but yeah, exactly. There should be a drinking game for his name today, because we just are saying his name way too. We say his name more than we do when he's here. So it's like
Beetlejuice.
New
Rad
it's like Beetlejuice. Yeah, totally. That's a drinking game in itself. Joe, if you're listening,
he'll appear.
Joe, if you're listening, just keep drinking.
Flippo.
But I just wonder. It's just interesting how he didn't seem as willing to kill Charlie. He did anyway, but it was a very different, loving attitude that he had toward Charlie.
I'm giving you a gift.
And yet
I'm receiving your gift.
Yeah, and yet here he is not wanting to take any lip from Roderick on this, or not trusting Vince or any of the other people. So
I think he seriously feels threatened by Roderick, or else he wouldn't really react that way. Right. I think he knows that Roderick has there is influence over a lot of the followers.
I think there is an alpha dog fight going on a little bit. Yeah.
There's a bit of like, there's an alpha dog fight, and there's like, I got to keep this guy in line because, I'm the boss, I'm the head serial killer in charge. The the HSCIC. There it is. But So and also, Roderick has failed. I mean, Roderick has failed Joe. Like, this is like number 3 or 4. Like, isn't every time he looks up, Roderick's like, shrugging his shoulders. I mean, didn't Joe even say, you won't fail me again, or if you failed me, like, I don't know.
Well, I understand he's a monomaniacal need to kill. Maniacal. Gosh, sorry, those big words. Big words can't speak. He's got that going for him.
Yes.
And he's incredibly intelligent. Come on, Roderick helped get him out of prison. I mean, Roderick implemented so much.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess you're only as good as your next task or something like that. So I feel a little sorry for Roderick in that too, in that respect. Even though he was totally bat-ass crazy earlier in the episode, still.
Well, I think he was like that because Joe emasculated him in this episode, so he felt the need to just lash out and sort of just,
Good point. Yeah.
get his power back.
He did seem to be stewing a bit, actually, in that moment. Like when Vince came up to him and was sort of like, "I gotta go," and he was already stewing. And when he went to touch him, like, "Hey man, you all right?" I love that moment. Get off me. Yeah.
Yeah. I also want to point out back to Vince and Haley Mercury, who I thought she was great.
Haley,
I
like
actually liked
Haley
her
a lot.
It's like
character.
a Marvel Comics character name. That's something right out of a comic book.
She is coming from a S&M club, so
Yes.
I'm guessing that's a fake name.
Haley Mercury.
Haley Mercury, or a stage name of some sort. But you got to love the whole. Well, she seemed pretty dominant until he was with her outside, and then she just kept saying, "Red, red, red." This is a red situation. Your eyes are red. Roses are red. Red.
That was
Would you like some
frustrating. They
red
didn't do
wine?
anything.
I know that was hard to watch because I felt bad for her. She was like really terrified. And for Hardy and Parker were like la 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 lo lo. I don't hear you.
and yeah, I know it was almost ASD, another sister down, kind of almost with her. I like how. It's almost like all the followers are pre-programmed. If Ryan Hardy is anywhere in the area, they're supposed to say, "She's going to die. This person next to me is going to die, and it's going to be your fault."
Yes, they've all gotten that in
they have a script.
Serial killer school, or in the bunker, or the armory, which we found out where they were. That was an interesting beat too, where Vince was like, this is the armory. Some people need to be trained.
Yeah, conditioned.
So the whole program, like, so to make sure we can trust them. So that's one thing we did. Can slightly touch on is that we learned a lot about the process. We learned that there, obviously this is website set up, and even Molly mentioned it. Like, I passed Roger's little test.
Yes.
So there is this sort of test that they have, and then after that, apparently they're taking down if they're not. I don't know who qualifies and who doesn't, but if they don't pass Roderick's initial screening, then they're taken down to the bunker and gone through a whole other workup, which is like training and then deprivation apparently. It's some serious cult, but this seems like cult-like tactics. It's like joining a cult's not easy. Not easy. You can't just sign up and join up. No, we've got to really condition you and brainwash you to make sure that you're with us.
First, you got to go on the website and you got to click that special link and get invited.
You get invited. It's like
Website just sounds so silly.
It's like Friendster from back in the day. It's a special. You have to be the special. But but once you're in, they do a lot of work with you.
The benefits are great.
Right.
Let me tell you.
But this is a long way from clicking the website and playing pool in the house.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Not anybody just gets to play pool in the house. Which I was wrong. No pool today. I was wrong about that.
No pool.
Next week.
0 for 1 on that one.
I need to see some pool.
But after some sleep deprivation, I'm always up for a game of pool.
Yeah.
So
once you've been in the cages, they've come out. Once they've come out, and then they're fine.
I will say those guys in the cages, though, man, that was such a weird.
That was weird.
And
Creepy.
FBI WTF. Thank you, Joe Sanfilippo. Yeah, I mean, they had that. Literally, the guy had body armor, and it was really dark, but I saw a red shirt. Like from the second you saw him, he's by himself.
Oh yeah.
And there are people like, "Help me!" And he's like,
a little skinny and scrawny to be like a SWAT team guy too.
Yeah, like a young kid.
He looked like Linus or something from. I don't know, he's just so weird.
It was that cliche of a young, inexperienced kid who just decided to go into tunnels by himself.
In my head, his voice was cracking. "Oh, are you guys okay in there? Oh, we got a problem. No,
I'm still in the middle of puberty, and we have a problem.
let me call for backup."
Yeah.
So. But that's fun.
And also just the fact that those guys were it was like a zombie scene. I just watched The Walking Dead yesterday, and this kind of felt like a Walking Dead type of thing in a way. They were more like 28 Days Later zombies because they were just fast and crazy, and they can use guns with
or World War Z.
Or World War Z.
Invaders in the summer. I'm not on the shill.
Okay, Brad Pitt.
But you just knew the second. I love that. Just you knew the second that they figured it out. And the radio was faulty. The second that he said, "Wait, don't open that cage," I'm like, "Oh no, that cage is so gonna be opened."
FBI, get some better equipment to communicate down there. Totally.
What did you say? Let me open this cage first. It's like my girl opening the door for the for what's her name to push her out of the window a couple weeks ago.
Oh, for Amanda
Oh,
Porter.
yeah.
Oh, with the police. Yeah.
police,
The Claire
yeah.
Yeah.
Someone's out to kill me? Hold on, let me answer the door.
Land shark.
What's that you saying? Don't open the cage? Hang on, I gotta open the cage. No, anyway.
Yeah.
Land shark.
Land shark. Not a 1970s
That's
reference.
really.
That's really
woo,
old.
You're going way back.
I know.
Old
Way
school
over my
Chevy
head.
Chase.
Way over your head?
Chevy Chase, SNL.
Yeah, SNL Land Shark. Look it up.
Yeah. Chevy
Google
Chase.
it. Google it.
70s.
So, well, let's move on to my takeaways. 'Cause,
Yeah, what are your takeaways,
Well,
sir?
here's what I loved. I mean, first of all, from last week, when Claire was officially taken, we get to see Ryan Hardy in practically the exact same position, the exact same scene that he was in the pilot.
Yep.
Right.
Back at home, pretty much in his underwear, in bed, drunk, going for water bottles,
Yeah.
which may or may not have alcohol,
Sure.
and he gets a phone call. But this time, instead of the phone call being the FBI calling him in, it's Joe.
From the sat phone.
So yeah, really, really interesting return. It was like a return to square one for Ryan Hardy. So it's almost like you have to rebuild him again because he lost Claire and he's done and he's fed up and he doesn't want to be in anymore.
Right.
And then of all people, who knocks on his door but Deborah Parker
Yes.
to bring him back in because the FBI needs him, even though she pretty much had him marginalized at the beginning of the season, and
Sure.
now slowly but surely she's starting to be his partner. She's starting to turn into his Mike Weston in a
Sure.
way.
Well, I mean,
So-
maybe he's proved himself to her. I don't know. And she did say she's coming as a friend. She did make that distinction.
True.
She said, I'm here as a friend.
I thought it
But
was
put some
interesting.
pants on.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. She also said she's not good with that, her social skills, but with making friends.
Right.
So she did mention that as well, which I thought was interesting. And she had a great line if he was an alcoholic or if he had a drinking problem, I think she
Right.
said, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty
he said,
interesting line. Alcoholic or a problem drinker?
Yes.
He said yes. That was
Yes.
his answer.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yes,
Yes.
I am, totally. So, yeah, it was just an interesting dynamic. We've seen Parker and Ryan getting closer, but this whole episode was the two of them. And again, just performing everything on their own, just leaving the SWAT team behind or the
Yep.
marshals behind at certain points and just going in together.
Yep. They were
Ryan
doing it.
saves her life in this
And
episode.
Ryan saves her life completely, totally saves her life. And for that reason, I'm starting to put my radar off of Mike Weston, although he's not completely free, and back onto Deborah, because
No. Okay, go ahead.
well, here's the thing. Well, you know, let me first mention a third person involved in here is Molly. We got to see this character. We first saw her in flashbacks last week that she dated Ryan.
Right.
And then at the very end, we saw the big twist that she is a follower.
Right.
So here she is.
Which is a great twist. That's another reason why I love this episode. This whole introduction of Molly, the fact that she's been this sort of sleeper girlfriend or sleeper F
girlfriend.
buddy, you know, the sleeper F buddy. I love that. It's a good wrinkle.
So she's a serial killer with benefits. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Yes. Well put.
Well put. Well put.
But yeah, so she, you know, back when we first saw Charlie, and Charlie kidnapped Claire or took Claire for when she was escaping the marshals.
Right.
Charlie said that he was her follower. That's what he said specifically. He had tapes on her, and he called himself her follower. I don't know if you remember, we had that episode. I actually
Yeah.
said, who's Ryan's follower? And
You
at the
did.
time, I said I thought it was Mike Weston. Well, we found the answer
Oh.
that Ryan did have a follower, and it's
Yeah.
Molly.
Wow.
And in almost the same exact way, Molly recording Ryan, keeping
Sure.
tabs on Ryan, doing all the stuff with Ryan,
Interesting.
and maybe even slightly in love with Ryan, kind of like Charlie seemed to be in love with
Right.
Claire, even though she obviously has an end game herself, but she's perhaps loves him too in a way.
Yeah.
So we got to see that side, and considering she's his next door neighbor, which we had no idea about until this week,
Right.
it's possible even now that she was keeping dibs on him beforehand and told certain people who may have gotten back to Deborah. Maybe Deborah was there because she was there as a friend, or because she knew Ryan was there just from her work on the FBI, or maybe she had some inside information from Molly.
Molly.
for example.
You're going out there.
I
on this
don't
one.
trust Parker though.
You're way out there.
But you don't trust Parker either,
Right.
right? Yeah, there's something weird about Parker
And
too.
her plea to Ryan came right after, Joe's call to Ryan asking him to, step up your game.
Yeah, I feel there's got to be a payoff, and someone in the FBI has to be a follower. I mean, it might be Donovan. It might be somebody else. It might be Raj from the U.S. Marshal's office.
Maybe
For all I
Raj
know.
from the U.S. Marshal. Donovan.
It might be him. I don't know, but I will say that it was really interesting to see Ryan saving Deborah and Deborah saying,
Right.
"See, we need you." It's almost again
Seemed a little
just when he gets cut down, someone builds him back up.
Okay. I don't know if I'm just we thought early on that Parker we all thought Parker was a follower early on, her whole bit in the house and how she kind of went into that trance while she's doing the thing, and then she kind of disappeared and seems to be fairly normal, but maybe that's a way to lull us to sleep, and maybe she will.
I'm just open to the possibilities.
Maybe the signs were there all along.
I'm just open to the possibilities, and if anything, I'm throwing the devil's advocate thing out there because I think so. I think the payoff would be great if somebody from the FBI was also a follower.
I have a sneaking suspicion, and I hope this is the case if we, ever talk to Kevin and Williamson, that is. But I have a sneaking suspicion this is one of those things where, when it's all said and done, can go back and see all these Easter eggs. He may, I feel like he may go, well, if you remember in episode 2, she said blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, of course, So I have a feeling that we'll be able to go back and rewatch, and then, much like The Sixth Sense, and be like the whole time, like, oh, it's all there in front of me the whole time.
I'm pretty sure, knowing him, that he has those clues.
Yeah,
in there
they must be there. That's really
if
interesting.
you're doing one big watch once on DVD, that you'll
We're
get
gonna
to
all
catch
have to
it
do
better.
that.
We'll all have to do a big sleepover.
Yeah, a big binge watch.
Yes, exactly, totally. And the other thing that I thought was interesting, the other scene with them, is when they were doing the stakeout, while they were waiting for Haley Mercury and Vince, and right when she was screaming red, and of all people, Ryan was the one that said, no, let's not save her. Let's keep this going. And Deborah Parker was the one that said, no, we should do this. We should save her. It was a reversal in a way.
Yeah, that's why I'm starting to believe Parker, because nothing in this episode, Ryan drove this entire episode, this entire operation. So if it were up to Parker, they would have shut that down. They would have taken Vince out, either shot him or taken him down, arrested him. And no, like Hardy, he went for it. She looked like she was thinking about it, and she said, okay, stand down. In the car, she seemed genuinely concerned for her safety. It's like it'll be on my head. It'll be on my head if she dies. And Ryan's like, don't worry, she's safe. Which, by the way, pretty hollow promise from a guy who's everyone he touches ends up dead.
Yeah.
That's the last guy you want to tell you, don't worry, I'll keep her safe. Really? Will you? Because everyone you're around, you ever heard the word death curse?
Well, his best friend's still alive. It was confirmed that his best friend, Bautista from Dexter, Tyson, I think his name was,
Tyson,
that he's going to make it. Who knows in what condition, but he's going to make it.
We wondered about him. About him, the way he was giving us. He kind of a weird take and a weird burn. Now I'm starting to wonder. Now that we know that Molly was a longtime neighbor, maybe it's like he's always been suspicious of her. Maybe like you'll find out from Bautista that he's gonna be like, I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen to me. Right before he dies, of course.
Yeah.
It'll be he's like, I tried to tell you about Molly, you didn't listen. I knew she was bad.
Well, I'm interested to see if he comes back into play again, but he seems to be out of it. And
I actually looked up IMDb.
Yeah.
Because I was curious.
Look at that.
And there's only one episode.
Well, you know
but
what?
Who knows? Maybe
season 2.
The credit hasn't.
Maybe the credit hasn't been there. But there's also season 2. Maybe there's some long play with him.
To
be said. And you never know. I mean, hey, Mike Weston got hospitalized, and we haven't seen him for a little bit.
Looks like we're going to see him next week.
But it looks like we will. But we know we got to see him because he's got to turn. And he's got to become a follower, and I got to be proven right. I got to be proven right.
In the previews, he looked a little dark. He had that Tag Romney redo look. He looked a little darker.
I'm telling you,
he looked a little angry. I think he had a beard. His eyes looked a little. He didn't look like the old chipper Mike Weston, who's drinking a glass of milk and following Ryan Hardy around.
He was a bit scraggly. I admit to. I admit to that.
So.
But I'm telling you, red flags all over Deborah today, in my opinion too. So
noted.
But in the same way that Mike has too. Mike and Deborah have both been there for Ryan on his lowest points and brought him back up. And I almost feel like it's like bringing Ryan Hardy back into the chessboard.
Sure.
It's almost like, okay, I quit. I'm off.
No, we had to make sure that he stays in the game.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
Okay, I like that. I'm still wondering what this. We'll soon find out what this larger end game is with the explosives and the planning. It reminded me a bit of like Project Mayhem from Fight Club. And
it was great seeing Roderick and Joe talking about it, even though we still didn't know anything. But just
detonators and there's
even just seeing that Roderick wants to implement the plan now, and Joe's like, hold off a little bit. So I'm kind of glad to see that maybe we're getting a little bit. Well, it's only like a couple more episodes left, so we got to see something. So, and we got to know
Four more
what's going
Four
on.
episodes.
more episodes left.
Yeah,
Coming
I
out of the
know.
wire.
Oh boy, it's getting down to the wire.
Well, it's going to be good. It's already good.
It should be good.
Yeah.
So,
But the one last thing, I just really,
Yeah.
I'm back to Molly. I'm really interested to see how this develops because she's still in play. It's one thing to have a situation where, like, I've been following him. Here's all the tapes. That was fun. Woo! And then, like, and have him have that information. But no, she's still in play. And,
Yeah.
and in fact, he's still sleeping with her, presumably. We'll soon find out.
well, I have two questions to that. How is Joe going to use those tapes? I'm guessing he's going to use those against Ryan and show them to Claire.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's going to work because it's
They weren't really together.
Yeah, right. I don't think
Right,
that would
I don't
work.
know. But it's also information and sort of, getting, he's maybe can study his movements and, one of those, like, I know you better than you know yourself.
Yes,
He's watching them
I like
have
your
sex.
I like your technique.
Yeah. That Carol.
Oh, you know what? Considering he was kind of bombing with his wife earlier, maybe he does need some.
Well, how does bacon do it?
Yeah.
All right.
And then the other thing about Molly, we saw in that
He did
final.
fast forward to the good part, though.
He did fast forward to the good part, and then the camera cut away
Because it's Fox.
It's still Fox, and
9 o'clock.
It's
9:55.
Right. Which reminds me, that like, I think I said this room, that shower scene was 9:55 too, so maybe that's a sweet spot.
That shower scene was late, so I think the
Yeah.
later
That's when you can get away with
the
it.
more
closer
looser
to 10
the
o'clock.
standards might be.
Yeah, maybe some some stuff can happen.
The one question I want to ask you guys is that last scene, the last flashback with Molly and with Joe back at prison in 2009.
Scary.
Molly had one stipulation.
Yep.
That when it came time to it, she would be the one to kill Ryan Hardy.
Yeah.
Do you think that Joe would allow that?
Yes.
You
I do.
think so?
I think that I got the impression that he's got her in place to keep Ryan in order. And I don't know that Joe wants the satisfaction of doing it himself, but I do think he wants the satisfaction of knowing that he suffers and that it goes and that it
Exactly.
happens, and sure, he can let her do it. And I gotta tell you, like, she scared me too at the end there.
Yeah.
I don't know. The women serial killers scare me a lot more than the dudes. I don't know if it's like,
Probably because you want to date them. And you
yeah,
know they
it's
might
a product. I know it's a product of, I don't know if I'm attracted to them or if it's like bad, maybe bad relationships I've been on over the years. I'm like, no.
That's why Sanfilippo's like, I love Claire,
Right.
Because he knows she's probably,
Same.
she's not going to do anything.
Claire looked
most
hot.
likely.
Claire did look hot this episode.
Yeah, I
Joe,
know.
Joe missed out
Joe
from a
missed
good made-up looking Claire tonight. So
But I don't know. I feel like everyone's expendable to Joe in the long run. So I feel like he'll say what he has to get Molly in there, and I feel like he has different plans for Ryan. I think he
Right.
has different plans for Ryan, but we'll see. I'm sure it's going to come to a point where Molly's going to be in a position to kill Ryan.
Sure.
And we'll see then if Joe allows that or not.
Right.
So, but that sounds like a prediction. Let's save that.
Yep.
Did we want to do our little news and gossip?
Sure.
All right, let's do some news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
well, we've had some. There's one. Well, you had some news and gossip, don't you? Something about Twitter.
You're passing it. Oh, yeah. Oh, so apparently Twitter is suing the makers of The Following.
Really? What?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they don't like the fact that they don't
the
like the fact
worst.
that they're using the word "the following," and everyone's just getting confused with Twitter followers.
I see. This
Yeah.
was the absolute worst April Fool's.
Thanks for
I know.
prank.
thanks for pimping me out.
God. No, I just thank you.
Thank
Like,
you.
we do miss Joe Sanfilippo and his acting. We need his acting abilities.
Yeah, we need his acting.
I'm horrible. I passed it to you.
I just laughed when I
right.
thought about it because
You almost got there.
I almost got there. I almost did it
Yeah.
with a straight face. But come on, it was ridiculous.
But speaking of that, there was the wonderful. There's been a lot of April Fools. I mean, most of you will be listening to this, and it'll be April 2nd or 3rd or 4th. But today, for those of you live streaming tonight, it is April Fool's Day, and there's been a lot of media and a lot of April Fool's jokes all day. And one of them was this thing ran by Scope for bacon flavored mouthwash, in which they had a bacon picture of Kevin Bacon made with bacon.
Yes.
it's a
That
bacon
is a
bacon.
real picture, by the way. I've seen other
out.
photos of that. I'm sure they acquired that somehow.
Oh,
somebody
really?
either somebody really did that, or somebody knows how to do it, because I guess bacon doesn't really last unless you.
Bacon doesn't last, you say?
Doesn't unless you unless
Not
you
around me,
spray
it doesn't.
Not around. Not around. Yeah. So I have seen that portrait before,
Okay.
but still, that was a good joke. I mean,
nice joke.
I didn't fall for it,
Right.
but pretty funny. Bacon flavored mouthwash. I'm
Yep.
sure there'll be. You never know. Sometimes things do happen after April Fools. There was ThinkGeek did a April Fool's joke once, and they ended up making it into a device. I think it was.
Which one? Do you remember?
It was the arcade game for the iPad.
Oh,
The little mini arcade thing. That was actually an April Fool's joke that ThinkGeek.com did a while back, and then they turned it into a real thing.
Yeah,
that you can put your iPad on.
Yeah.
So anyway, really quick, that's pretty much it for news and gossip. Let me do a little shout out for the YouTube people who posted, because we love reading your comments. Tiffany F, Miss Lean, that's La 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 Laura 33. We got some of the usual guys. Fuchsia Flashdance, Verdant Knight. And no, you should keep predicting Verdant Knight, because that was a pretty good one. Still, Jacob did want to kill Emma. He just didn't kill her. Miss Lost Nikita and Brent William Henry. Thanks a lot, guys, for posting. No one really posted on YouTube this week, so post some comments on YouTube too. Not YouTube, I mean on iTunes. On iTunes, because yeah, we'd like to see that and rate us.
Comment, rate us.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Let us move on.
Good or bad, we'll take it.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh, and we've also reached 100 followers on Twitter.
Yes.
So thank you so much, everyone.
Raise the
We got
roof.
to our goal.
My little white boy raised the roof.
Raise the roof.
Raised the, I don't know.
This is 1996.
I have.
What are you doing?
You want to do you want to do a kid and play afterwards? Right in front. We can do a kid and play.
That's really dating us.
I know that's really dating us. Anyway,
Don't act like I don't know that dance, by the way. And don't act like I didn't used to have a giant high top fade. We
gotta
talked
see
about
that.
this on the
oh
show.
yeah, I'm sure.
Oh,
you-
yeah, no,
just
I
like
got
Hot
it.
Tub
The
Time
dancing.
Machine, Craig Robinson, Hot Tub Time
Oh, yeah.
Machine.
Yeah, that
whole
was
look.
me.
Got it. So let's move on to predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV prediction.
All right, who wants to go first?
Okay, well, I kind of hinted at it, but I really think that we're going to see this split between Roderick and Joe, and I think that's my move. I think they'll have the Rodericks versus the Joes, and you know, the cultish followers versus the military folks versus the Project Mayhem from Fight Club folks. And I don't know how that's going to play out. But I think that's going to be our arc in season 2, is these two sets of, you know, killers and followers, because I think Roderick is sort of rising as this sort of dynamic leader, and we'll see. Or I'm mixing predictions. You know, else is on the rise. Look out for Tag Romney.
Oh, yeah.
Nico, he's pretty dark, and he's also up to, like, he's guarding Claire already, and he's got some leadership and some sort of potential in there. So who knows? Maybe look for Tag Romney to maybe be a leader of some sort. But I don't know. There's a schism happening.
Okay.
So in this episode, Parker brings up Ryan's heart, and you know we've seen it in past episodes, the heartbeat,
Yeah.
and you know, she says, you know, you shouldn't be drinking, it's got to be bad for your heart. I feel like something's gonna happen soon, where you know that's gonna come into play and just sort of destroy things. Maybe the season finale. But I don't know. I just kept thinking about it.
That is interesting. I kind of like that. I like that as a way to end on a cliffhanger with his heart, with his pacemaker.
Right.
Actually,
Right.
that is cool. I like that.
That's got to happen because they've been really working at it.
Yeah.
Each episode.
Interesting. I think. Well, we saw some clips about Claire and Emma going at it, and Emma's just really being left out in the lurch. It seems like she can't get a bone anywhere.
Hey.
You know. So I feel like she's either gonna. I think in the end she's either gonna flip, or she's going to get captured and be a consultant, kind of like Joe was in the beginning.
Well, like
maybe.
I thought that Jacob would be. I thought for
Exactly.
sure Jacob was going to turn, and maybe it'll be Emma.
But she's turning more and more away from everybody because of all this drama that's going on with
That's a
her.
good one.
So I kind of feel like that's eventually, not next week, but I feel like that's coming to a head.
That's good. That's a good
Yeah.
prediction. I do like your prediction about maybe the cliffhanger. I like that because, you know, Kevin Bacon hasn't even signed for next year yet, so it's a cliffhanger as to whether or not he'll come back, because he's still sort of in the contract negotiation.
Oh, it's interesting. I can't see this going on going without him, though.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
April Fool's, so I'm just got
okay.
I got you both. I
Wow,
did it.
good
Boom.
job.
I'm Joe Braswell.
Better than my thing.
All right.
So where can we find you, Joe Braswell?
You can find me at grantland.com every Thursday doing some stuff, and here and Twitter at Joe K. Braswell.
Awesome. And Teresa Lau, where can we find you?
You can tweet me at Following Buzz.
Sounds good. And I'm Nando Velasquez. You can tweet me at Nando Vel, Nandovel, and we do a couple of shows here, like Bates Motel.
Yes,
Catch
Bates
that.
Motel.
Which I wanted to be a part of.
I know,
but couldn't
I
make
know.
it 'cause
It's
the
all of
timing.
us except for Teresa, and we miss you. We have a great other person replacing you, Dua, but we miss you. And then
Yes.
a couple other shows. You do the Americans with San Filippo,
American with San Filippo. Also, I do the Justified show season finale tomorrow night.
and I do Celebrity Apprentice and Amazing Race. But anyway, thank you very much for tuning in. Please catch us next week, and we'll see you then.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz.
You.
Later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.